Okay, I'm late to the party on this issue as I've been out of town while the news was breaking, and I hesitate to speak on real-world issues, but this has been starting to make me pretty angry. If you know me for normal 40k or other video essay content, I'm sorry, but this is not going to be that. Though I encourage you to stick around because this is fairly important. So I'm sure no doubt most of you are aware that recently there's been a big push to ban not safe for work materials from various platforms. On Steam and itch.io, payment processors put the squeeze on them, refusing to let people use their own money to purchase games on those platforms unless they removed certain products that they didn't like. Then, maybe a week or so later, almost making the Steam thing seem like pennies, the United Kingdom instituted a law banning people from accessing lewd sites unless they provided an actual government ID. And it rapidly spread beyond not safe for work content into places like Discord, Spotify, and Twitter, denying people means of communication, even blocking access to certain parts of Wikipedia when articles included elements like self-harm. All in the name of course, protecting the children. Because, of course, we can't have any young people know that sometimes it's normal to just get depressed. Now, gratifyingly, both of these have been getting absolutely hate-mobbed everywhere I've seen them mentioned, for a number of valid reasons. The denying of games on Steam was for the vaguest of reasons. These middleman companies like Visa and MasterCard block conduct between buyer and seller, starting to throw their weight around. And the UK's stupid law that is just... God, where do you even begin? Blocking access to certain sites online? No, that's not troubling, not at all. And I'm sure that when they monitor who goes where, as they would need to do to enforce the law, they won't be making any notes of who goes where and how often. I'm confident that it will end here, and no other sites will be gated unless you have proper identification. And above all else, I know that none of these IDs will ever fall into the wrong hands. Because as we all know, the one thing government agencies and lewd sites have in common is that they never lose control of their files, not once, not ever. Again, it's fortunate that everyone I've seen has been pointing out the absolute disgusting nature of this law in its various forms, and trying to make sure that its cousin does not land in the United States. Because yes, there is a US version. There's a lot of good arguments against this stupidity, but there's one more that I haven't seen mentioned quite as much, and I would like to point that out to you now. When laws like this go through, it's not the big companies that suffer the full force of it. Multi-million-dollar companies like Brazzers or The Hub are hardly gonna blink at anything like this. But you know who is going to get absolutely wrecked? The individual creators. If you've ever been to Twitter and seen an artist who has commission open/closed in their title, or anyone whose drawings or renders get blurred by default, those are the people who are going to get burned by this. When the purge happened on Steam, it wasn't the big games that got hit by the payment processors. Oh, they wanted to, believe you me, but that would have caused a whole fiasco. And I did a bit more looking around on Collective Shout's website, the people who influenced the payment processors to put the squeeze on Steam, and sure enough, they are also looking to implement more ID verification laws. I cannot stress this highly enough. Fuck these people. Instead, they dropped the axe on indie or single-person development teams. And if you're gonna say, oh, those were just games for weirdos. But, if they weren't illegal in the first place, why are they being taken down now? And worse than that, where does it end? As I speak, I'm working on a video about a game called Hades. I think a couple of you might know it. Now, that's a pretty questionable game, with some lewd undertones and very rough subject matter to boot. It is uncomfortably close to the line of fire. And some people might not care about that. Good riddance to a weird game. That dev should put his talents to more productive means. And God, I really hope that's a straw man argument. But if Hades goes, There's another game on Steam pretty similar to it, Signalis. Both of them are survival horror games, with Metroidvania-style progression, a female cyborg protagonist, and unsettling themes. So if the first one goes, it's pretty easy to reach the other. And now you're seeing how these things start to spiral out of control. Signalis has themes of self-harm, which we've already seen getting blocked. It's not a big leap. And that pisses me off too, because when you're deep in depression, what helps more? To see other people that have the same issues and know that you're not alone, or to be cut off because someone else thinks that it might be bad for you? And I'm not even going to get into the fact that YouTube is now instituting an AI which will just guess which accounts are underage based on your video choice. Because if I do talk about that, I'm going to start yelling and probably blow out my mic. Regardless of whatever you may think of the subject of these people's work, there is still talent there. In drawing, in animation, or in 3D rendering. And for the overwhelming majority, these aren't just sick perverts, they're people. People who had an artistic drive and just wanted to use it on something a little unorthodox. I can say that from first-hand experience because a good number of my close friends are commissioned artists in that industry. They're still as individual as everyone else, so you can't just paint them all with one brush. Though if you did want to define them by one trait, I would say that most of them, or at least all the ones that I talk to, tended to be more in touch with the issues like CP and the other grotesque topics that trouble their industry. The same way a welder might be more in touch with the dangers of ultraviolet light. There's actually a great video about that called NSFW Artist's Truth. I'll link it somewhere around here. Description, video, it'll be here. Just look at it. But they're going to get slapped because they're an easy target. I know at least one guy who's already getting hit with problems of being paid for his work. Again, it's not going to be OnlyFans which gets damaged by this. It's going to be a game like Being a Dick, which is an ongoing story made by one guy who's been working on it for about half a decade. But, too bad, so sad, sorry old boy, but the rules have been changed. So go pound sand. If you really want to know why I hate this, and so many other people do too, it's because censorship kills creativity and completely halts growth. There is no room for a new generation to enter the marketplace because what they want to draw, or what other people will pay them to draw, has been deemed unacceptable. Artists, writers, developers, all start off doing wacky stuff, and maybe they keep doing wacky stuff for their whole career, but they still move on to bigger projects. They want to grow, but they can't do that without attention and resources, which all of this blocks them from getting. And I want to help them, but I don't know what to do beyond continuing to support them while they're here, and letting other people know of the dangers that they're facing. It's fair to say that this is an issue that really got under my skin, and I badly wanted to say something. If you made it to this point, I thank you for watching and hope this didn't make you feel worse. But if I had to close this out in any way, I would say support any artist you appreciate and download any works you're fond of, because you never know what stupidity tomorrow will bring. And with that, I'll be back next time for more 40K, games, essays, or whatever I happen to do. Thank you again, and goodbye.